Alexander, welcome to Startup Grind. We're thrilled to have you here. How are you today?
Doing great. Happy to be invited.
As a start, could you give us a brief introduction of yourself?
Sure. I'm Alex. I'm the CEO and founder of DRESIO Limited. My background is in big data analytics, and I also have a passion for AI. And prior to founding the company, I also have years experience managing multi-million brands, for example, Cartier, and also as a consultant for big companies like Coca-Cola, Abbott Lab, and Wrigley.
And I guess those companies collect a lot of useful data. In the startup world, we often talk about the elevator pitch. So, from your perspective, what is DRESIO and what is your elevator pitch?
Yeah, so DRESIO specializes in computer vision and AI software development for physiotherapists with a focus on accurate biomechanics measurement, which is primarily movement, and muscle and skeleton health analytics. So our software, Accudex, makes it possible for anyone to conduct contactless physiotherapy assessment anywhere, anytime, such as a range of motion, balance, and gait analysis, simply by performing movement in front of a normal webcam. The AI will generate validated results instantly. Our technology has been deployed in nursing homes, in clinic, which saved over 30% of a physio's time, while also revolutionized the way how biomechanics data are recorded and analyzed.
And that is through using AI, which connects to today's topic, the rise of AI analytics in healthcare, which was also a topic that you spoke at an event in Hong Kong. Let's go back a little bit in time because it's interesting also to see the work that you did before with the big companies. Before you founded DRESIO, you, as you mentioned, did some really interesting projects for some big brands. Can you share some key learnings from that and how it influenced you when it comes to founding DRESIO?
I think when it comes to insights or key learnings, I think mainly two. First is efficiency. Second is the value of data. So when it comes to efficiency, I think I say that I'm a super lazy guy. So throughout my work, I always try to find the fastest way to do my stuff. So throughout my work, I always, when people take 30 minutes to do an analysis or a table, I'll write code, which takes 5 minutes and do it faster and more efficient. And that's how I do things. And secondly, I understand that data is precious, really, really precious. They are like gold. I used to be a consultant for big brands like Coca-Cola, and I was so spoiled that my company could get all those data for me to analyze and recommend to my clients. But later on, when I get out of the consulting job and move in-house to Cartier, I realized, oh, where's my data? There's nothing, and I have to find ways to scrap to actually get all the data that I need. Oh, where do I get my competitor data? But in my old job as a consultant, I get all the data. I get data from Pepsi, I get the data from all the brands, and I can say to my client Coca-Cola, say, oh, Pepsi did this because the data show blah blah blah. But when you're doing something other than consulting, then you move in house and you lose everything. You only get yourself. And I really realized you really need to find ways or using technology or using AI to get data and to analyze data better.
Yeah, two very important points. The first one you said about saving time, learning to code. Before we move on to address you, how did you find more data at the new place? What did you do?
So I actually started from the beginning because at that time I was tasked to grow the brand for the wholesale department, which are like billions of dollars at the time. And there are over 50 shops throughout Hong Kong and Macau. And what I did was I walk, actually go out of the office, and I tell my boss, I need to see all the shops. I won't know how I can analyze and make it grow without seeing all the shops. Every week, I spend time walking, traveling all the shops and try to see how I can get more data. And there are many phases from me walking and looking at things to talking to the shop's assistant, to the seller, and also my client, to implementing a brand new system into each shops to actually ensure that all the data are recorded. For example, before I joined Cartier, the warranty card of their watches all handwritten. So you can actually really easily fake, like when do you actually sell your watch? That warranty card is actually really important because if you state that you buy it today, then your warranty start from today, 2 years. But if everything is handwritten, then people can easily fake that. So then after the improvement, then we moved from handwritten warranty to actually using NFC cards to a completely new POS system to get more data. Then I get more comfortable getting all my data when I'm sitting at the office.
Yeah, that's a great story. Even though you might think that sometimes huge brands would be really good at this, but they are not. Now,
True.
what was the inspiration then to founding DRESIO?
So I think for one thing is the sad thing about doing analyzing data and do all my past work is that I know how good my company is and the economy. So when I see that, oh, there's a big bang trend going on, then I decided to, oh, why not go out and develop my own company and see if I can develop something that help with solving the problem that I see from my old jobs. And luckily, I met some really good people, tech people, PhDs, specializing in computer vision. So I decided to, why not combine my knowledge and the computer vision technology and develop something related to retail. So since each modern shop, when you shop, that you see like CCTV looking at you everywhere. But the main focus is to catch theft, right? But why not we can add more feature and analyze how shoppers shop and try to develop technology that helps people. So that's how I changed from working full time to actually founding a company. But of course, that is really different from healthcare, obviously.
Yeah, but I really like the way that you looked at existing cameras who were there for theft prevention and then just reuse that same information or use that information for a second purpose to find out how people move in the shops. Being able to pivot is a great skill for startup founders. So during COVID, something happened and that took you in that new direction. So maybe you can tell us a bit more about what made you pivot into the healthcare area.
Yeah, so we founded the company just a little bit before COVID. And when I get everything sorted, my clients, my partners, and lined out, and COVID started, and everyone told me that the budget is gone. Like no one shops at offline shops. Everyone go online. So we have to rethink how we can proceed and should we still going for the technology, the direction. Then we sit down, look at the board. Then we originally we have a brainstorm board, say retail, like healthcare, fitness, and then we think that why not we go and see if other directions are possible. And we actually talked to a lot of people, and we found out that there's a huge demand for contactless healthcare technology at the time because everyone is not touching each other. And hospitals, nursing home, they all need technologies that help them to assess the health people and get more data. And that's how we pivot. And luckily, we also joined the IPHatch competition, which give us a lift up, winning the 2 patents. So that's how we pivoted.
COVID did happen quite recently, but as you mentioned, not only the contactless, of course, that was very important, but also you can do stuff remote since the doctor can watch somebody's movement. So can you tell us a little bit more about IPHatch and how that worked and how you got in contact with them?
Yeah, so at the time, when we are trying to pivot, I was looking around and I came across a competition called IPHatch, and I was still wondering, like, should I join? Then they have like an event like hackathon. They call it IP Hackathon. So I joined. So it's actually a really short session, a full half-day session that allows the organizer to talk to all the interested party. Oh, should you join and what you would get? And they actually have business consultants who are really experienced in many fields, especially in startups, to advise you how you can pivot or how you can modify your business canvas model, and also and how you can get and pick which pattern you should compete and to get more out of the competition. So I did that, and they actually gave me a really big confidence to pivot. Then after that, I joined the competition, and I won 2 patents from Nokia, which are really useful for helping us to gain a lot of traction. So surprisingly, as well as getting a lot of media attention, as well as getting our first investment from an angel. So that's what happened.
And I guess that not only getting the ability to do something that somebody else has researched and patented, but also being able to, as you do, refer to the company name Nokia, which is a well-known brand. So how have you used those patents within DRESIO?
Yeah, so the 2 patents that we got are related to cloud, and they are methodology patents that allows you to get information and data more efficiently. So since I think if anyone knows that currently cloud computing is getting more and more expensive, and the ability to be efficient could actually provide a lot of benefit when it comes to coding or software. So that patent actually help us to do certain things really efficiently. The other one is actually a really cool methodology that allows our software to get more personalized. The more the user use, it is more personalized. It really fits our needs of AI, because the reason why we use AI is to get more personalized and get more fitted results every time. So it helps us to get more customized every time people use.
And because there are so many companies that have evolved and created great and of course patented it. So what would your advice be to a founder who sees somebody who has a patent and say, well, I could use that in my startup without really competing? What would your advice be?
After I joined IPHatch and learned more about IP and patents for the years, I think I do have a feeling that a lot of tech companies, like big companies, they do have a lot of patents that are really, really good, but it's just that they are just there, not using it. And that is also why the organizer of IPHatch, Peace Future, they know about this, and they talk to the guys and say, hey, for those who patents that are really, really useful, but you guys are not using it and not in your arena, then why not you give them out give everyone a chance to win it? And the way IPHatch work is that you win it, but you still need to exchange for it. You need to use your equity to exchange for the patents, but you can actually negotiate. I think it really helps people. It's another way for people to actually get something that other people works on and start over. And I think it is actually a really good thing for people to try. And it also opens up a lot of opportunities for people to not just exchange equity, but also license. I think IPHatch started before COVID, and some companies exchange equity and some people just license as a partnership model. So there are a lot of ways for startups or a founder to actually get collaboration or to actually get IPs. I think I also see a new trend that it happens in Hong Kong, that a lot of the local universities are actually establishing new branches called a knowledge transfer office to allow people to actually use academic patents for a commercial. There's a new trend on it.
Yeah, if society can use them, license them, of course, that becomes better for society as a whole. Now, looking ahead, so how do you see DRESIO transforming in the field of physiotherapy over the next, say, 5 years?
I think for DRESIO, in the next 5 years, I surely want to have the company to actually have the ability to change some of the practices, the current practices of physiotherapy, or maybe also not just physiotherapy, but also occupational therapy or speech therapy. I think in Asia, normally on average, the service level is actually way below Western world. In the Western world, I think for one physiotherapist is serving around 1,600 people on average, but in Asia, it's actually around 4,000. So in Asia, fundamentally, the physiotherapists are in shortage. For example, in Singapore, there's no university offering physiotherapist degree. they have to hire from other country always. I think they just started one new degree this year. So it's the same thing for Hong Kong. And a lot of them are still relying on pen and paper for data collection. And there's no long-term tracking or digitalization. And that's something that Address, I think, would hope to change the industry to be more data-driven, to more digitalized, and also saving time. Because like a lot of one of the reasons why we use computer vision is that a lot of physiotherapists assessment actually depends on looking, depends on really the physiotherapist's eye. And some of the results are actually really not standardized. And we also really would like to hope using our solution and to actually standardize a lot of the assessment so that everyone could use the same standard, and also could track that data and everywhere, anytime, anywhere.
And I assume, like as you said, I mean, the shortage is of course one, and then when you come back a week later or something, and you can get feedback if you improved or not.
Yes.
Now, this, of course, is a good segue into the bigger picture. So how do you see the rise of AI analytics in healthcare positively impact healthcare overall?
Yes, I think that there's a really ongoing like uptrend of technologies at people's hand. In the old days, healthcare technologies or even AI are really restricted at hospitals or at clinics. But now I think we are seeing more and more technologies that allows people to actually use AI at their side. Like, for example, one really good example, aside from our technology, is I think Apple Watch. Apple Watch is actually really a revolutionary tool that allows people to get a lot of healthcare data from the body. And it can also rely on AI to analyze people's health instantly and giving out signals. There are a lot of cases that like Apple Watch actually successfully diagnose heart problem and give out warnings for users. And I think there is a really big trend going on how we can develop technologies at people's home, closer to the people, that can allow data to be extracted anonymously or safely, and also allow AI to help them to be healthier. I've heard from a lot of healthcare professionals, especially physiotherapists, that one problem they face always is that every time they see a patient at clinics, they do the therapy, it's okay. But once they're at home, they cannot control. And a lot of the rehab exercises or rehab movement has to be done at home and not just at the clinics, because like physiotherapists are in shortage, right? So, and they can only like spend like 20 to 40 minute max per patient. And they rely on people to actually work at rehab at home. And there's actually a big topic going on as well to how people can age at home. So it also brings a lot of different technologies to be implemented at home in the future.
Yeah, I got this feeling like you need to do your exercise, and of course in front of the doctor, you're good at it. But then when you come home, you need to do it maybe every day, every morning. And then of course, Apple Watches or similar devices are great to help remind, also track, because if we do the exercise, then we will actually become better. You had a good point there about the number of physiotherapists versus the number of people in Europe and so on. So what are the biggest needs in healthcare where AI could really make a difference?
I think the biggest need in healthcare is standardization. I think when it comes to AI or even data, it can vary a lot. Even in Hong Kong, such a small place, I could see a lot of different standards. For example, when I'm developing software at Accudex, we try to develop balance assessment. And when we talk to people, we find out that, even for balance assessment, they have different standard. The same movement, for example, we just by telling people to do one leg stand for 10 seconds, and we could see that there are 4 different kinds of scoring. And they are all validated methodology, but they are just being used in a variety of ways. And I think that there are a lot of different kinds of like standardization when it comes to healthcare. So I think that the biggest need is to actually standardize. Also, one thing I get a lot of requests is that even Asian and Westerner are different in bodies. However, a lot of the assessment or even treatment are designed for Westerner and sometimes might not apply to Asian people. So how the data analytics and also the AI for Westerner may be completely different from Asian. So I think that there's a trend for standardization, and also we hope that we could be the lead for the physiotherapy side. And of course, there are a lot of different companies in different arena, but I think for us, we're really focused on helping the physio industry to actually live up to another level.
When you also train as a physiotherapist, if you get in contact with your software during your training, then you will also, in a sense, remove different ways of scoring, but at the same time also be able to handle different people with different body types and know how to assess them correctly.
Yes.
So if you just look at Hong Kong, I mean, where would you see, like, is it the ratio of patients to doctors, or is it where, if you could wave a magic wand and say, oh, I want to implement this, where would you start? I mean, apart from the physiotherapy side.
I think for us, I think my way of tackling the deployment is from elderly care. So
Yep.
I think aging is a really big problem in Asia, especially in Hong Kong. And for example, elderly care home in Hong Kong, the government has implemented law that each facility has one physiotherapist. However, from my survey, is that each nursing home in Hong Kong, on average, house more than 100 people. For example, a client of mine from an NGO, they have a center with 150 elderly, but with only one physiotherapist. And even working 10 plus hours per day, there's no way that therapists can conduct all the assessment as well as doing all the rehab exercises. So what they do currently is that they just abandon all the assessment. They assume all the people are at the same level of like worseness and only do exercise. So I think that is something that I think our technology really could help them, is that anyone can operate our technology and assess people. So nurses or even caretaker could actually use our software to actually assess the elderly, and the physiotherapist can focus on us looking at the reports, the data, and we even have customized report for physiotherapists to assess different kinds of assessment. So you will really, really help saving their time, because the physiotherapist doesn't need to really stay there for the assessment, because they just need to follow instruction from the software.
Hearing this, I can imagine that there are so many different areas, elderly care. What advice would you give to an entrepreneur who wants to enter healthcare AI field? So to look for other areas to help and to fix. What advice would you give them?
I think there are just so many. And I think is one thing about, I think in Hong Kong generally, healthcare data is getting more and more accessible. Within these few months, they announced they are going to release a really large number of healthcare data for people to analyze, to do research and development. And I've looked at it, and there are so many different kinds of data. And I think just try to focus on something that is most prominent and close to you, because I think everyone gets sick. And for me, I think one encouragement for me to do the physiotherapy industry is my family, because I do have parents who got a stroke, who needs physiotherapy rehabilitation, and also my mom who recently has a spine problem, and the only solution is physiotherapy, since some skeletal and muscle problem cannot be treated by medicine and can only be treated by a physiotherapist. So I think there are a lot of things that people can get into healthcare, but I think doing something that you are familiar and also have interest is also really important. For example, if you are researching on cancer, but you do not have any idea how it works or how a patient actually react to cancer.
Yeah, to empathize with the people that you are helping, and also having firsthand experience of what's going on, so that
Yes.
just whatever you believe. And now, staying on the topic of AI. So AI, of course, is, in 2023 for me, it's really taken off, even though we know that
Yes.
AI has been around for many years. So how do you stay ahead on that topic, and what do you do to stay up to date?
Yes, I think for me, as I said, I'm a really lazy guy, so I'm not gonna read, but I listen and watch social media like YouTube, or I think mainly YouTube, and currently new for me is TikTok. So I do access to a couple channels that they give me a lot of like really up to date news and analysis of the tech industry. For example, one that I watch every week that is called the Wen Show. It is part of a channel called Linus Tech Tips. So for Hong Kong time, it's Saturday morning. So every Saturday morning, Hong Kong time, they will go on live and talking about all the tech news in the past week. So actually, they cover a lot of things, including hardware and AI. And sometimes since they have been in the industry for so long, they actually give us a lot of different takes that I would not normally think of. The other is a YouTube channel called Lex Freeman. So he interviewed actually a lot of people, especially tech guy. So he is a tech guy as well. So he interviewed a lot of people, including Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and he always have access to some really new information. And I really like him talking a lot of things. He took his time, so I can get access to a lot of different news actually from him. For example, a couple months ago, he interviewed the founder of Python, the founder of Python Code. And that's like really, I think for me, I get a lot from him and from the interview. So that's I also like inspire me to get us to develop some new things based on that conversation.
Yeah, the Van Show I've heard about, and you also shared some of these links before this meeting, so I'll share them with everybody in the follow-up email. Alexander, it's been super interesting, and I really like how you showed, from the idea and also the pivot, and then how you really can help people and society with the AI. So, Alexander, big thank you for being a guest at Startup Grind.
Thank you so much for inviting.
So we will now move on to the Q&A part.